One salute everybody where they with me. The our indivisible one and indivisible. So get the very
You are welcome to this edition of Amba Perspective. If you are just joining us now, today we will be having a very special guest, Professor Nganang, right now. In this very edition. Recently in a neighboring country, La République, and also
country, Nigeria, Cameroon, they will also affect we Ambazonia. So we find they will keep tabs on the two countries that will know it happen. However, French and the other terrorists would watch it as it go Nigeria now neighbor and even a strategic neighbor as Ambazonia because it is strategic. So if as election to happen for Nigeria, we hear say about 40 politics is wrong fight against election of Buhari. We not say Buhari be connive with leaders and citizens. When the political climate for Nigeria political today it happened for our neighbors for the Republic, the election where they say it will happen on the 7th of October and how it will affect Ambazonia, and also foresee the war crimes the way La République cause around the world, not just for Amazonia but also for other parts and for the country, for the world. So we'll see how that one will affect or how we promote our own cause. So yeah, we will get our special guests coming in the half on the show. But for now, I want for first of all thank the church, and we have here for in Amazonia and in Nigeria where refugees and they want just send a shout out to PCC my 16 for my 16 Limbe where they do a kind of donation, food and money for support our internally displaced people and refugees in Nigeria. So I want to thank them, and we pray say many more churches will come on board and do such humanitarian activities, because we need every hand on deck. If churches that can play that role, they bring food and money for our refugees and our internally displaced people, it will reduce the burden on we, and we will get enough for making the channel and to other areas of ground zero where it be needed.
Yes, we cannot thank NGOs on the ground like the IIA Foundation and all the other NGOs that are helping our people both in prisons in La République and in Ambazonia and also around Ambazonia. I want to just tell our people that it's very important that we understand that these NGOs are what they are. They are non-governmental organizations. I've told the technical team to look into our sound issues. So I was on the NGO topic. Like there's a few NGOs on the ground that are helping us, and obviously there's Ambazonians that are donating to those NGOs to help. Those things are very normal all over the world, that in times of disaster organizations like the Ayaya Foundation, when it speaks to their heart that these people are desperate and they need help, they go out there to help. But it does not make the organization, we must be very careful and not put these organizations into trouble. It doesn't make them part of the interim government. They are not. They are known governmental organizations, and their sole purpose is to help people who are desperate, who are sick, who are in need. And those organizations now, in them raising funds, if the interim government contributes to them like they do, it's just a contribution to an organization that is standing up in the crisis, in the time of crisis, and doesn't have the budget to finance their projects. So we need to be very careful with these things and not put those organizations into trouble when we make certain claims. There's one of the organizations that my sound connection.
Sound quality is very bad.
Okay, our technical team would be looking into that. So it's very important that all of us Ambazonians at home and abroad, we be careful to make connections with those organizations that would land them into trouble. When we come here and we tell people to donate to the Aya Foundation and any other organization that is raising money to support our people in the bushes, to support our people in Nigeria, we are doing so on a humanitarian basis. We are doing so on a humanitarian basis, and we should keep it at that. Because if you all push it, it can end up in these organizations into some sort of political situations. Those are non-political. Those are they are non-governmental. That is what they are, and their own work is just to help people in need. So it's something that it's a line that we must keep. We must keep that line and never make it blur. Because there's one organization in Yaoundé that helps feed our brothers in prison, and they almost got into trouble because of some of the pronouncements that our people were.
The sound is very bad.
The year 2047 marked 30 years since the founding of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. This second republic of the British Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroons had found its economic footing and secured its place as an economic superstar on the African continent. The new nation, 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 the new nation. The new nation, 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 the new nation. The 26th state had relocated the nation's capital city 90 miles inland to a teeming modern metropolis at the center of the country, and Ambazonia's economy was on track to rival even Singapore. This African country's future couldn't be brighter, and its transformation no less spectacular.
Welcome back, and we hope that the sound quality is better now. If you're watching us on a responsive platform like Facebook, you can leave feedback just to confirm that the sound now is good, so we can go ahead. We are really sorry about that technical glitch, but our technical team reassured us that the sound is fine right now.
Now, I want to thank all my don't get patience with me today, because I think with the use now the machines and machine that they spoil once in a while, they get fault. So we'll be very sorry about that. However, before the sound quality, give we this short break, we talk about the churches, the way they only rise up to the occasion. They help our refugees and our internally displaced people on the ground. We would say thank you to the PCC church in Limbe, my 16 way. They contribute for food and money for sending to our people and for make sure say they be taken care of. So we want to call on all other churches for also come on board and for support. And we also talk about the fact say we get two strategic neighbors. We get Nigeria and we get La Republic of Cameroon as our neighbors. And anything that happen inside these two countries, then they affect Ambazonia. So it will be important say maybe we also look at their political and socio-economic atmosphere in those countries, then try to see what they happen for them and also analyze and see how it will affect we Ambazonians. Like we talk, another big terrorist president for France, if you go to Nigeria, we don't know what he go do for Nigeria. However, we know say no matter what he discuss on Nigeria, he must talk about Ambazonia. And if we talk anything good about Ambazonia, I got to find a way for put we down. So we need to put our ears on the ground for make sure so we know what happen for that side of the country. So as well as we look at the election which happen for La Republic and for no say for see how it will affect Ambazonia and how we will do for make sure say they not even try to set foot on our territory. Say they won't do any of such, because we talk about international about national integrity, and Ambazonia get international boundaries they will get for protect. We also see horrible videos of waiting La Republic because I'm out there. It just gives an evidence of the kind of atrocities where those heartless Ambazonia, La Republic soldiers get. They just kill Pekin and woman all together. We don't care. So we'll look at that when we'll talk about that and analyze them with Professor Patrice when he come on board.
Yes, indeed. We need to be very to Nigeria. It's concerning to us, and Ambazonians need to be watchful. We need to analyze what the movements in Nigeria. Obviously, in his backdoor meetings, he definitely must have talked about Ambazonia. You heard in one of the question and answer session, he said he called Obia on the phone and he proposed decentralization and regional autonomy as a solution to what is going on at home. And we went on Twitter and we told Macron that we are very sorry, that might be the solution for his problems in France. Right now, the labor union in France is having huge problems, and that he might be prescribing that for them, not for Ambazonia. For us, we want nothing less than our own Ambazonia, so that we can build our own country the way we want our children to grow in. We are no longer interested in becoming a part of Francophonie or whatever the French desires for us. We have lived under that neocolonialism for the past 56 years, and today and right now, as Ambazonians from last year, we decided to cut off that bond, and it's over. So, but we still need to be monitoring French movements. We've heard of Mafani Musonge being invited to France in a secret meeting, and presumably to be made the next candidate for the presidential election that have just been announced in Cameroon. Surprisingly, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about La République du Cameroun making moves in parliament to postpone the election to early next year, and then out of a sudden, presidential decree announced elections for 7 October. Now, this is provocation of the first kind, you know. It is, I don't know, because October is our special month. In October, we will not only be celebrating our first year after restoration, I think that we will be commemorating the lives of those who were lost in the 22nd of September and the 1st of October last year in the hands of the oppressor regime. And just days after that, they put their election. And I think that that is madness at the first order. That is testing us, you know, testing us beyond boundaries. And I think that right now is the time, Raymond, that we need to start again to prepare for this commemoration of our people who lost their lives in the 1st of October, some who went to prison on the 1st of October, and 1st of October will be making them exactly 1 year in prison. This is the time to start that planning. I would like to see the government departments. We know that we just had a cabinet reshuffle. I would like to see those departments swing into action and start planning towards 1st of October. This is a very special, it's a very special month in our history, and last year made it again even too special. You know, it's too close to our hearts. We lost friends, we lost families. More so, our revolution took a turn, a different turn on the 1st of October, and the declarations that we made on the 1st of October, I believe that they were spiritual. I believe that they were way beyond just the celebrations that we went out to celebrate. So we have a special guest that will be coming up shortly, Professor Patrice Nganang, and we will tackle some of the things that are happening within La République du Cameroun with him. I think that he's an expert in his own right, and he's an activist extraordinaire who has stood firm for the people of Ambazonia. And coming from French Cameroon, his perspective is obviously always a very good perspective to help us learn, to help us recalibrate where we are as a people and with our movement and our struggle in general.
Yeah, when we go open the lines towards the end of the show, I would like our people to call and tell us what is the need we want to do on the 1st of October this year. We need to get as many proposals as possible so that our government will try to form up a kind of celebrations or activities which will take place on the 1st of October. We need to always commemorate that day and to remember our fallen heroes. So 1st of October will be very special. It will be 7 days before La République they get their election. So we need for the plan October very seriously. For one, we need to know, for continue to educate ourselves, saying that the day that we get our independence and we'll restore them a year ago, we'll get 1 year anniversary. And we need to also know that we lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of people for the past year. We will fight for our restoration, and we need for say we get black leg them inside Ambazonia way the one begin vote for legitimize this illegal union with La République, and we need for start thinking now how to deal with such people very strongly. We don't watch a lot of things already happen for this revolution. I think say the time don't reach way if you carry a voter's card, from my opinion, you be a black leg. Completely, you are a traitor. You don't even need for passing Ambazonia with La République voter's card. So from now henceforth, if any Ambazonian, no person way he gets that voter's card, we start report them, because if you carry, I mean say you do condone what way the terrorist government they do on our people, the killings where they go, the rapes, the burning of our homes. And if you carry that card, it means say you be part of La République and you know be welcome in our territory. You be as well, you feel as well just go to La République, go do cast your vote for any constituency for that side. But say one do inside Ambazonia, you do really get to our nerves, and the one will be time we with the joke. We don't see how some people they deal with people the way they consider them black leg way. We don't even want me to go to that level, but I'll be very certain. Say if they catch you with a voter's card, I don't think say even God will come to your mercy, because the laws of that land of Ambazonia talk say we Ambazonians, we know if we can carry out elections of another country inside another country. So if you get that voter's card, just tear them or just burn them. I never see that card even day first of all. So just burn the thing. Make sure say you dispose of that card, because what besides you, they catch you with the card inside Ambazonia. Now for they are don't finish.
Yes, indeed, Raymond. The Mafani Musonge news. I don't know how you take that. It's an interesting development, another spin to it, if I must say.
If you say when Prof Patrice go come, because he talk about the issue, he raise the eyebrow about Mafani Musonge. France, where come on board, we will try to engage you for novelty. And in the funny me say even France, their president they 32 years.
42.
42 that one day.
Yeah, 42.
42. If you go take my way, they almost reach 80. For can propose for La République for be president. They don't look we Africans like we be very stupid. And now we give ourselves to these Europeans for use we like that. You know, nowadays 42 years old, they looking like one of the youngest presidents in the world, and yet Africans the way they be fond of bringing old people will stand as president. When they still promote such old people for be president for a country, you know, it really be appalling. And we will need for no way till they happen. They think say, look, if you even take now my own brother go put for La République the president, I will still want restoration of Ambazonia. So make La République not even bother themselves. Me France don't even think say if they take a person from Ambazonia put on president for La République, it will change we one bit. It will even intensify. We will even intensify him for tell you say what you don't do like betrayal.
It is provocation of the first order, and nothing would cut it for us. Yesterday, when that news broke out, one young Ambazonian in our forum here in South Africa said, even if they make Sisiku Ayok Tabe the president of La République du Cameroon, we will not accept it. He will only be president of Ambazonia. We are tired of their own mess. Let them deal with their mess. Let us start anew and build our country afresh. Raymond, last week, before the end of the program, we were talking about some important developments that have started happening in Ground Zero, where we understand the modalities how our self-defense people operate in, and now there is a series of incidents where people are complaining to have been contacted, sent letters, forced to pay ransom. If not, something will happen to them. They will destroy. And these people are posing. There's a lot of reports of these things happening, and I think that is something that we really need to spend a lot of time sensitizing our people. That is not right, and also talking to our self-defense groups that they should defend against such practices, because this is the easiest way that they will make our people frustrate our people on the ground.
Yeah, very true. I don't get reports even from my village opinion at the SA. People they come, they claim they be Amba boys, they terrorize people, they seize bikes, they take their money, they tell me they contribute to the struggle. I feel say any Ambazonia Defense Force or Ambazonia Restoration Force gets a means of funding, it come to them. And if any of them they come, they talk, say, no, the force civilians will give money, that won't be very, very wrong. We know say inside any situation, some people they find a way for thrive, you know. So we need to watch out of those people the way they go around, they terrorize citizens and they collect money from them, because that one will be a position of revolutions. revolutionaries, the way they live with this revolution. We don't want maybe to terrorize our own people for forcefully take money from them. You know, if you take people them on the right, you know, you ask them for ransom, you force them, make them pay. Correct. If you never get enough funding for your restoration force, continue for hammer for the powers that be. For sure say they get to you and make and give them the resources when I need them. People need to go around the terrorize innocent people. If we get those kind of people in the community, we try to report them as soon as possible. If for any restoration force that are around, so that they could stop them, because now inside that chaos where people like Tanganji Paul and the rest, they can't form their own groups, that they go around, they cause atrocities and for put in the name of our restoration forces. So we will be very vigilant and will report those kind of activities.
Yes, but importantly, let our restoration forces amongst themselves be having these conversations about these things, and also be sensitizing themselves. We understand that in course of them, you know, staying in the bushes and all these things, certain habits can come. So it's important to practice discipline, to discuss the kind of society that we are fighting to build, so that you people can, as a team, you know, input some kind of discipline. But it's important for our community to also have good rapport with the restoration forces. Meet them. When you meet them, you can always, you know, give them something. Like if you have something that you can give to them, like a last your gari, whatever, support them. Let them know that we are supporting them as a community, so that they should understand that they are protecting us. And if incidents like that are happening in your community, report it to the restoration forces. They have taken care of such incidents in Bello, which became an occurrence 2 months ago. It was a repeated occurrence, and they took care of it very nicely. And now it no longer happens in Bello. Even with people who have run away from their homes and are staying in neighboring towns and villages, the houses are safer now with the restoration forces being able to restore calm in the society. Welcome to the program, Professor Patrice. Hello? Hello, Professor. Can we? Hello? I think we have a professor coming on now. Can you hear us?
Yes, it's a little bit...
Hello? Hello, Prof.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Okay, welcome to the program, sir.
Always.
Welcome to the program. Good afternoon. I know that it's afternoon your time now, and thank you so much for taking the call at such a short notice. Hello, Prof. We are just trying to connect Prof and sound.
I don't think he can hear us.
Can you hear us, Prof?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
It is a little bit slumpy, but I can hear you.
All right. Okay, we can hear you now as well. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for taking the call at such a short notice. A lot has been happening the last 2 weeks, and we think that it was important that we have a conversation with you. And our viewers, I think our viewers are excited to have you on our screens again, especially for all the interviews that you have been doing around the world. So welcome to Amba Perspective again officially. It's talking. Hello? Hello?
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I need to be sure that you hear us when we talk, so that we don't let you have the mic and then you don't respond. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the program again, Professor Patrice Nganang. You are no stranger to Ambazonia. I think you should be one of our first citizens right up there for the wonderful work that you have been doing. Okay, we can get your sound now. So we will connect with Prof right now. If you're watching us on Facebook and you have a question that you want us to ask Professor Patrice, you can leave the question in the comment section. And as we ask him questions, we can pick up your question and also ask him. Ray, maybe you start with some of the events of the last.
Hello, Prof. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you very well now. I think I was in a part of my house where the internet is a little slow.
All right.
So now it's
yeah, welcome again, Prof. We are always very excited to have you on the show and to get your perspective of what is happening in Ambazonia and in La Republic, and however also in Nigeria. Today, most especially, would like to talk about the elections that's happening in La Republic and how would it affect our quest for restoration. Now, the first thing I would like to ask you is the terrorists BR standing for elections this year?
well, I think I will not counsel to the devil. And as you well know, I call the femme, which in my mother tongue means the devil. So, and I would not like to be his counsel. But before going on air now, I just heard that municipal elections were also cancelled for 2018, which brings it to 2. And I think the campaign that you've been waiting, which is zero election, is actually successful. And people understand step by step that it is impossible to have an election in a country that is at war, and that if there is an election, then it should be only Bia who stands for election, and that one will let him go. One has to let him go. You know, essentially is one has to understand the following. During 2018, what was planned was to have 3 elections at the same time: municipal elections, legislative elections, and presidential elections. The consequence of that, an amalgamation political candidate. So it's been impossible for any combatant to target one single individual, because then people will say to vote for municipal elections, and since I'm going to vote for it, I may as well vote for the presidential elections as well. So people will have said, I'm going to vote for legislative elections because I want my county, my region to be represented. And since I'm going for that, I might as well vote for the presidential election. You see, so one will have had like a traffic jam. And when you have a traffic jam, it is impossible for you to say, let us focus on these things. Let us focus on, for instance, these presidential elections. Let's focus on Bia. So it would have been very difficult to have people mentally process the fact that they will have to cancel out the municipal elections and the legislative elections to focus on Bia only. And focusing on Bia means to have him stay exactly where he is. I think he's cancelling all those elections to be able to stay where he is. And that is, for me, a fundamental gain of what has been happening in Ambazonia, in the 2 regions. So the success is momentous. I've never seen a success like that. It is momentous. Meaning the Amba boys have managed to shut down Bia's calendar. To shut it down. That is amazing, because Bia has been always calendar. For the first time, he's not.
Prof, well, it's exciting times, and last week we witnessed the French President Macron visit Nigeria, and nothing was official on him talking about Cameroon or Ambazonia, other than a statement that he made in a press briefing where he said decentralization and regional autonomy would be the solution of the Cameroon problems. But interestingly, right after his visit and return to France, we have heard President Biya sign a decree that elections would happen in 1st of October and the 7th of October. And then also now we are getting news that Musonge was in to France in some kind of secret meeting, and you were outraged by this announcement, and I saw you went and did a long Facebook live, and you called combatants within La République du Cameroun to rise up. So I just want you to tell us what was the thinking, and what is the thinking in your mind. What are they trying to do?
I may express myself in a particular way. I may show passion in the things I do. I show continuity in the things I express and do. But I never express a particular sense of being outraged by one particular decision, because I think that what is important is that we have been waiting for a while for Macron to express himself. Actually, I had written, I wanted to meet him first. I went to France to meet him. I wanted to meet his minister when she came to my university here at Princeton University. So I wanted to meet her. She finally did not come. I actually wrote to Le Monde. They refused to, asking him to express. I think that France is at the heart of the conflict in southern Cameroon because, first of all, you remember, France is the country that voted against independence in 1961. So if you see the resolution of the UN back then, France is the country that voted against it. And France had all countries from Central Africa, Gabon, Congo, etc., vote against independence of southern Cameroons. So given that constellation, it is important for everybody to know that France is a major player has a major voice in the destiny of southern Cameroon. So one cannot simply say, forget France, because France did it already in 1961 to vote against independence of southern Cameroon. So we have to make sure to know where France is going and to have to curb that decision. So now the decision of Macron to express himself, I was suspecting, like I said, I wasn't surprised because, of course, France has oil interests. Total is actually the company that owns the oil in southern Cameroon, in Limbe. So France has economic interest in southern Cameroon. So it was important for me to hear the clarity of Macron's position. He had expressed his position already on May the 20th, where he said that he sided with Biya. And no other Western country, Germany, England, the US, had sided with Biya. He was the only one to side with Biya clearly and to actually repeat verbatim what Biya decided was important, which is that the death of military people, of gendarmes, was more important than the killing of mothers, the burning of villages, etc., etc. So Macron repeated that verbatim. He sided totally with the rhetoric of Biya. But he also did more than that. He went to Nigeria to cut off the base of southern Cameroonians to make sure they don't have access to Nigeria, which was the case anyway. You remember, Nigeria expelled the Cameroonian leaders, the Ambazonian leaders. So Macron went there to do exactly that. And between the visit of one of his ministers to Yaoundé and his expression in Nigeria, something happened. You had an increased military presence going from Francophone, Cameroon into Amazonia. You had an increased military presence. So what France is doing, because it lacks a UN mandate, it lacks the international cover. What it's doing it is financing Paul Biya to be able on the ground to move his military further. It is training soldiers from Biya for them to be able to attack better. So France is on the ground financing Biya. So therefore, it was important for me to mention that fact and to tell to everybody that now stakes are on the table and we can actually act.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. We have been hearing reports and suspicions that French soldiers are in Ambazonia. Have you heard of any? Do you have any kind of proof or anything that you've come across to suggest that France is actually sending troops in Ambazonia?
We did something to force the Ministry of Defense to express itself. We actually put it online. We actually started agitating around it. And guess what? The Ministry of Defense had to go to Parliament to actually deny that, to have an official position. The point is not that French soldiers are not on the ground. No, understand me well. It is important that the Cameroonian government clarifies its position. Everybody know if it has called a foreign power to come into Cameroon to kill Cameroonian citizens. It is important for everybody to know the clear position of the Cameroonian government, the official position, because that one will be an act of high treason. It will clearly be an act of high treason. But now what the Cameroonian government did is that it sent Musonge to France to actually marshal its action in the French government. So that is what Musonge has been doing in Paris. And I was informed that he is in Paris, and I inform everybody, including in Paris, for people to watch out. Because one has to always know what kind of move those people are doing. And by saying that, I would like us to actually remember this. Musonge had gone to Bamenda, and he had actually, as he said, met people, and he came out with some resolutions that he felt were the solution to crisis. The Musonge Commission, etc. Where did it go? What are the conclusions of those, of his meetings? What happened out of it? Who made something out of it? Nothing. It went nowhere, you see. So it is just cosmetics. And one can even say that his visit to France will have to be watched, because they are having slow moves. They are having moves behind the door. They are having backdoor politics. And what we have to make sure is to always be ahead of the game, ahead of their game, by informing everybody and by actually publicizing their moves.
Thank you, Prof. I'm talking about military maneuvers and moves. This week, we woke up yesterday and we saw a terrible video of French Cameroon military up north, which they summarily executed 2 women and children. There was an infant on the back. And I mean, just talking about it still makes me relive it like I'm seeing it for the first time. It's so painful. Prof, as an activist, I don't know, what did you see in that video other than the wretch that we all, are really mad about?
There was a question about the locality of the video, and it is clear that it happened in Mayo Sanaga. There was a question about the identity of the soldiers, and inside the video, there is one soldier whose name is actually given. His name is Tsanga. So he's from the southern part of Cameroon. He's a Bulu. There was a question about the authenticity of the video. Inside the video itself, there is somebody who talks about the making of the video, therefore identifying it. So those 3 elements are essential. And I'm mentioning it because it is a gift. Have finally a video that shows soldiers who willingly commit atrocities, the killing of children, the murdering of mothers, and they actually express it. They say that they have the intention of doing that. So there's no way one can remove it from any accusation, from any judicial, process, because everything fits together. Now, on a macro level, I think it is important to always understand the dynamic of civil war, and particularly of a losing army. A losing army, let me maybe phrase it differently. You have a way of waging a war that comes from colonialism. That way of waging a war has happened in southern Cameroon, which is the burning of villages, the picking up of people through razzias, they bringing them to Yaoundé, sentencing them to 10 years or 15 years of jail, etc., innocence, clearly. So, and the list is pretty long. And one can actually run down that list, the colonial type of warfare. Now, there is another chapter, which is an army that's losing the war. An army that's losing the war commits atrocities, kills children, executes mothers, executes people who are, mentally deficient, etc., because it unleashes its rage on the population. The fact is that the population doesn't collaborate. The fact is that the population is actually against the soldiers. And we see pictures of the population that are welcoming the Vipers, that are welcoming the Ambazonian Defense Forces. So the population speaks Pidgin, speaks English with the Vipers. The soldiers are Francophone, are Bulu, are foreigners. So as a consequence, those soldiers are frustrated. They unleash frustration on the population. That's where those atrocities come from. And those videos actually underline what I'm talking about, meaning we are opening a visible chapter of an army that is losing the battle. So therefore, I said, a couple of weeks ago, we are walking the clock now towards negotiation. And I think it is important for us to always remember that negotiation will have to be on the table. Before, people used to talk about dialogue. The time of dialogue is gone. Because the army that declared the war, the president is being the head of the army, that declared the war is losing. So it is losing cities. We see cities that are occupied by the Ambazonian Defense Forces. It has never won the population, right? It is losing its military. We have a casualty that is 5, 4, or even 3 soldiers per day. We are now having officers that are killed. So the army is going through a bloodbath. And as a consequence, it commits atrocities. It is time now to have somebody, an international body, a person with moral conscience, a person who is strong, who has a caliber, to have that army understand that it is losing, and to have Paul Biya understand that he has to negotiate. But now let me come back to the elections. The fact that those elections are postponed are signs that now the time of negotiation is actually ticking. It is coming on the table. Because a power that is not mastering its calendar is a power that is not only losing militarily, it is power that's also losing politically.
Right. Thank you, Prof, for that analysis. Now, you keep talking about negotiations. Who is going to call these negotiations? Because clearly we've seen that the UN only calls for dialogue. All international communities are calling for dialogue. Some of them are even going as far as telling Paul Biya himself to call for dialogue. We keep talking about negotiations. Who called these negotiations, and how do we perceive it?
The language, let us talk about the language first. The language changes rapidly. You remember in November 2016, I was talking about negotiation, and even dialogue was on the table. Right? It was a meeting between lawyers, teachers, the consortium, and the government. It wasn't even dialogue. It was something that they were, it was the translation of whatever legal code wasn't translated into English. Those kinds of things nobody even understands today. So dialogue came on the table when all the leaders were arrested and put in jail. So now people started talking about freeing them, freeing the leaders, etc. And it is when the Ayuktabes were arrested too, then the war dialogue became important. We are moving towards negotiation because in between the power, Paul Biya declared war against the population. So to end the war, the normal process is not dialogue, it is negotiation. So because one has to see through a couple of things. One has to see through that the prisoners who are in jail, incarcerated, sentenced, that they are freed. One has to see through that the military that occupies a position that it is losing every single day, that those military people are, leave the place. For instance, in Bamenda, Biya had just created a new military base, things like that. One has to see through that those places are demilitarized. One has to see through economic compensation. One has to see through that those houses, those villages that were burned, there are so many of them. We are talking about billions of francs. It is amazing. It is maybe 200 villages that were burned. One has to talk about compensations. One has to talk about at the end of it, one has to talk about the return of refugees, those who are in Nigeria. Remember that many of those who are in Nigeria went there not only now, they went there in 2017, 2016. So you have waves. And one can even talk about the diaspora that has been expelled, because many from the diaspora are receiving an interdiction to enter the territory. So one has to talk about the diaspora. What diaspora? Is it the one of 2016-17, or is it the one of 1995, 1994? So we are talking about a negotiation now that will involve many chapters. It's not only that somebody will sit there and dialogue with maybe Ayuktabe or I don't know whoever, but we are talking about the fact that the very structure that was marshaled has collapsed, because the casualty is so high. Can you imagine 2 soldiers per day? It is 732 soldiers per year. That is a massacre. And I'm only talking about the military. 732 soldiers are killed per year. That is amazing. It is an army that's being vanquished, you see? So, and they are being vanquished by people who 6 months ago didn't have any military training. And the Vipers now are constituting themselves into an army. So what we are talking about is that an international body should actually enter the fray and have what is called an interposition army, or I don't know, whatever, to make sure that the casualties stop. And guess what? I haven't even started talking about the casualties amongst Ambazonians. I'm just talking about the casualties amongst the BIA soldiers, right? Because if we put the two together, one will come to maybe 2,000 people killed per year. That's amazing. That's staggering.
Thank you very much, Prof. There's news now that the defense minister of La République du Cameroon is en route to the southern region, to the southwest, if you may. And this afternoon there was news that a colonel who was injured in Tombel died this afternoon in the Douala military hospital. I just want to find out from you and within the Francophone activist network, is this kind of information also filtering out? And what is the reactions of Francophone Cameroonians to their children, their brothers, their fathers losing their lives in Ambazonia in this unjust war, if I may put it that way?
No, it is mounting. The casualty is such that even those who were silent will start talking. This morning, I got the news that Christians actually decided to make out of July the 26th a day of mourning. Francophone. So it means it is trickling down. So you cannot have communities that where 1,000 people are going to be killed, will be killed, and actually not react. You cannot have communities out of which, for instance, in Douala, Anglophones are being wound up and brought to jail. In Yaoundé, one Anglophone is killed. Before that, in Yaoundé, Anglophones were being wound up in the Calais, and all Francophones look away. That one cannot continue because it is mounting. Always remember, 1 year ago, that one didn't happen. That one did not happen in December 2017, in December 2016. It wasn't what was happening. The momentum of the crisis of the civil war is such that it is impossible for Francophones to actually always lay back and think that nothing is going to happen. Because you have to always remember that the chronology of civil wars is that it starts slowly. You can look at the civil war in, Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in Uganda, etc., in Rwanda, in all those places. Because in general, in Cameroon, particularly in Francophone Cameroon, people look at the civil war when it has exploded totally. And that is the end of it. That is the end of a long process. The process of maturation of a civil war is very slow. It goes step by step, one body after another, one village after another. And hatred composes itself and transforms itself into something that is actually not governable anymore. So I'm going to give you a concrete example. 3 years ago, nobody could have imagined that Cameroon will not be able to organize an election, a legislative election in 2018. And now Cameroon is not organizing it. Nobody would have imagined that a municipal election will not be organized. And now Cameroon is not organizing it. It is step by step. In a country that is ruled by propaganda, and Cameroon is totally ruled by propaganda, the president will never come and say that he's incapacitated, that he cannot organize it. Because the reason is clearly economical. There is no money. There is simply no money. Where is he going to, to get the money to organize an election? Where is he going to get the money to organize all the things that he wants to do? Because war is destruction. People destroy. War doesn't produce anything. War doesn't produce anything. Zero. It doesn't produce anything. At a certain point, people will not even be able to pay taxes. At a certain point, they will not even be able to eat. At a certain point, they won't even have clothes to put on them. So that is what war is. It is not a place where you make money. It is a place where you lose money. And a power that actually was counting only on oil from southern from Limbe, from southern Cameroon, is realizing that it cannot even count on that oil because actually the place is a war zone. The place is being obliterated. So it means the source of money of cash is cut. So Cameroon economy has a the war in southern Cameroon has a direct consequence on Francophones. And soon enough, you will have benzene prices, gas prices go down. You will have simply, prices on the market and commodities go. I want to say gas prices go up. Prices go up, etc., etc. That is something that has, as its cause, the war happening in southern Cameroon. So Francophones cannot simply say that, it's not touching them and keep watching football or laughing or doing nonsense, because the war has consequences and it touches everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. You've touched on something that I want us to talk about, the economic consequences of this war. We've seen that they've actually not organized the first division and second division in the soccer games this year because of finances. And we also know that they are preparing for the Nations Cup. Do you think if we hold on for the next 6 months, La République will be able to finance the Nations Cup?
I mean, they cannot even finance an election. They can't even finance an election where their stake, those who are in power, who are running the show, actually need that election. They can't even finance it. How are they going to finance a cup? Who is going to come to a people that are killing each other, where they kill children to play football? Who is going to do that? I mean, that is insane. Cameroon is incapable. You have somebody in power who is 86 years old. The only will he has now is to die in power. But what he plans everywhere is death. The killing of children, the killing of mothers, the burning of villages. That's the only thing BI is producing now, nothing else. Look at his sheet, his balance sheet. What has he produced during these last 2 years? You have only bodies. You have a body count that is rising. And I'm coming back to that particular issue, the issue of momentum. Momentum of war is slow-paced. It is like a truck. It starts slowly, and when it peaks, it is 24 hours, then it's done. So it starts slowly, and in general, war hits the news when it is at the end already. When you have, cities, Aleppo, Tripoli, you have people running across, etc., or you have thousands of refugees, those kinds of things. No, we are at the beginning of a long process, the slow momentum of a war, and that momentum is very good because it is incapacitating not only the government, it is making the country ungovernable. So it is impossible for us to actually forget that war is also a matter of timing. It is a matter of calibrating the evolution of things. It is something that requires thinking. It requires brains. And what is happening now is, requires everybody's brains. Tactical brains, strategic brains, etc. Because it is something that one cannot, give away to hazard. I'm going to give you one example. During many years, we know ourselves that the Cameroonian Army did not recruit people based on their degree anymore. You needed to either belong to the tribe of the president or you needed to have money. Those were the criteria. You are a Betty or you have money. So what was excluded was your degree, your moral standing, your capacity, your intellectual capacity, your moral capacity. All those things didn't count. Guess what? An army is there to wage war. Now we have a situation of war where that army in which the moral capacity wasn't counted, in which degrees were not counted, we have that army that is going to wage a war. What is the consequence? The consequence is that we have an army that is totally tribalized. And a tribalized army is not an army, it is a militia. An army that doesn't have any moral ground is not an army, it is a militia. An army where you have people who cannot read and write is not an army, it is a militia. So during many years, particularly during the time of Mebengo, we had witnessed an army that during a time of peace was sinking. And it takes a conflict to make that army sink further. The consequence of which is what we see. You have all those atrocities that are committed on the population because the soldiers who kill babies, who kill mothers, etc., they know that those mothers do not belong to their ethnic group. They know that their alliance, with that army is not based on any capacity. They don't have any moral ground. They are actually thugs. They are bandits. And such an army is not an army. It is a militia, clearly. And we saw that process of the sinking of the Cameroonian army happen in front of all of us. And nobody could do anything against it because, of course, one tribe amongst the Francophone had the power to choose who is going to come into the army and who is not. And the criteria for choosing were, like I've said, money or the tribe.
Thank you, Prof. Within the Francophone activist community, which now I've been able to read and interact a little bit, I've seen that you and a few activists who stood up first have made some movements with the movement Le Chassement, and now I've seen mobilization at another level. Actually, yesterday or so, you called for block by block right into central Yaoundé. So I would like you to talk us a little bit about that, how that momentum is building up.
Yes, the thing is that we've been ahead of the game, frankly, because I saw that coming. I think nobody in his or her right mind will have imagined that somebody who is 85 years old will run for a 7-year mandate without people protesting. And I saw political parties actually joking for positions of peace. And I always said, no, one has to mobilize the population. One has to tap into the capacity of the population to rise up. That's why in 2015, I went back to Cameroon twice a year to make sure that the population is mobilized, particularly to make sure that Yaoundé becomes a center of action. And to make sure that people organize, understand that having an action means going neighborhood by neighborhood. So therefore, we walk through neighborhoods, we mobilize neighborhoods for people to see that if you start something, then it's possible. For even people see that you can mobilize people around simple things, for instance, cleaning up the street, building a school, building a bridge, etc., etc. It doesn't mean mobilizing people. You don't mobilize people only to vote. You don't mobilize people only to take guns, etc. You can have them do simple things. So these were the kinds of exercises that we were doing. So frankly, after my expulsion from Cameroon, I was very busy. So I had to stop that. And secondly, because of my involvement with Ambazonia, I really was very busy. And you can see the results. I'm practically everywhere. But the heart of the matter is that one has to understand that a coalition between Francophones and Ambazonians is the key for deep change in Cameroon. I will repeat it, the coalition between Ambazonians and Francophones is the key for deep change in Cameroon. What I'm saying is that a coalition of opposition leaders brings nowhere because Biya is going to win that election anyway if it runs. So the most fundamental coalition, the win-win coalition, is between Francophones and Ambazonians. It's win-win because Ambazonians want a free country. They get it. Francophones want a country where power belongs to the people. Finally, they get it. So now if you have those two gains on the table, you understand that it is in the interest of Francophones and of Ambazonians to work together. So that's what we are trying to do, what we are setting into motion. The name of it is Sure, because you cannot get away from the tyranny that we have without its head. And I'm coming back to what I was talking about at the very beginning, which is that finally Biya isolated the presidential election out of the traffic jam of elections that 2018 will have given us. It means finally we have a single enemy that is alone there. It's having a target that you can actually look at and that you can shoot down. So I've never seen a dream materialize like that. It is as if it is something that in 2015 I would never have imagined. And now it is clearly formulated in front of us. So the second task is until October to make sure that the coalition of, on the one hand, Francophones and on the other hand, Ambazonians work together to make sure that block by block, that the block by block strategy is not only applied in Southern Cameroon where it works perfectly, as you could see. And I really salute all Ambazonians, all Vipers, Chiwayaba, who made it possible for the block-by-block strategy to be implemented. Now, the task is to make sure that the block-by-block strategy is also applied in Yaoundé, specifically in Yaoundé, because if one has that only in Yaoundé, one has solved the issue for both of us. One has solved the issue for actually both of us. And I'm sure any Ambazonian who is in his or her right mind would understand that our interest is to make sure that the block by block strategy is applied to Yaoundé, is applied to the Francophone zone also.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, Prof, that's an interesting angle that you're bringing into this. But I assure you that a lot of people get confused when we talk about a coalition between Ambazonia and La République, because when we try to analyze here on the show that we need to cause chaos in La République for us to be able to gain grounds as Ambazonians and move away. People do not understand that concept. I'm glad that you are bringing this in. I would like you to break it down a little bit further so that people can understand it very well, because as I'm speaking to you now, if we leave it as it is, people will think that we are still talking about a unitary kind of system between Ambazonia and La République. So it would be good for you to get that distinction clear so that our audience are very clear about what you're saying.
I would like people to really, first of all, understand that to make, now what is happening in Southern Cameroon now is what I call in French pourrissement. It is to make sure that the place is ungovernable, to make sure that there is no rule and order there, that all STOs, all of them run for their lives. So that is the goal. That is the goal, to make sure that the place is ungovernable, and it is happening. So, and that is something one calls insurrection. The name for it is popular insurrection. When the people take their history in their own hands, they make sure that, for instance, the place cannot run elections anymore, which is what is happening. So elections are not going to be run. It is not because there is a lack of voting booth, etc., because in 2011 there were elections in Southern Cameroon. Then in 2018 there are going to be no legislative elections, are going to be no municipal elections, no presidential elections. So it is because the place has been rendered ungovernable. Just imagine now that the same will happen in Yaoundé, that Yaoundé will also be rendered ungovernable. Just imagine that it will happen in Douala. Just imagine, as a game, as a thought, as something that you fathom, that you think is possible. What will be the consequence? The consequence will be that Biya will run for his life. The consequence will be that Biya is out. And if Biya is out, I'm sure that all of us, Southern Cameroonians, Francophones, can come together and decide over the future of our country. If you want independence, you get it. If you want to have a new president on the Francophone side, you get it. But you will have gotten away from a situation where a tyrant is deciding over your destiny. So that is what is important. It is that you are taking your history into your own hands. You are taking your destiny into your own hands, and you are doing out of your country what you actually want. So that is what I'm talking about. So an alliance that will bring Anglophones, that will bring Southern Cameroonians, that will bring Ambazonians and Francophones together, is a win-win situation because it is an alliance that is based on the fact that one has a common interest. Now I'm going to open another chapter here for us to really understand what is at stake when one talks about independence. Let us take, for instance, France. Let us even take the United States. Let's take Zambia. And Cameroon. There is no way you can make it impossible for somebody from Zambia to get married to somebody from Cameroon and for both of them to have children. What I'm trying to say is that even in the future, people from Southern Cameroon and people who are Francophone are still going to get married together, are still going to have children with each other. They are still going to have the economies work with each other. They are still going to be neighbors. They are still going to be friends to play soccer with, etc., etc., etc. A place like Tombel is still going to have relationship to Lum. Bonabori is still going to have relationship to Boya. These are the kinds of things that are the interpopulation relationships. They are thousands of years old. They are never going to change. They are always going to be there. And I'm sure Southern Cameroonians, so many of them speak French. They are still going to be connected to, the Francophone part. It's not going to change. But that doesn't preclude Southern Cameroons to becoming independent. I'm going to open now even a third chapter, and it is the best one. I'm going to give you an example of Senegal and Gambia. As you well know, Senegal speaks French, is Francophone. Gambia speaks English, is Anglophone. And the two populations are Wolof. They speak the same African language. They intermarry since the beginning of times. Now they are two independent countries, totally separate. They decided to be separate. They tried to be together, but then decided that they will not be able to work together, and they are separate. Guess what? To go from Senegal to Gambia, you only need your ID. You need your ID. You don't need a passport. You need your ID. Even though they are two independent countries, they are two separate countries. You need your ID as well to go from France to England, although these are two different countries. But they understand that on an economic level, on a personal level, on a marital level, etc., these are two, they are the same people, but they are two independent countries. So just to summarize my point, I'm trying to say that when we talk about an alliance between Ambazonians and Francophones, we are talking about a working alliance for independence on the one hand and for the liberation from the tyranny on the other hand. That is what I call a win-win alliance. It is a win-win scenario.
Thank you, Prof, for that clarity. Actually, Prof, I think that you are right on point there. One of the things that I learned in my strategy class was that a very important thing when you are going out on a project or you are going out on a game, the most important thing is to isolate the enemy, you know, and I really like how you have put it, you know, making it very clear that indeed the Francophones, although with all the propaganda that they have been brainwashed, they are not the enemy of Ambazonians. It is the regime of Paul Biya and its neo-colonial backer, France, that is the enemy of Ambazonians. And there's a possibility of some kind of a coalition where the regime gets off and French Cameroon gets an opportunity for the first time in its history to be able to really elect their own leaders who are leaders of the people for the people. So it's a very clear message, and I think that we should push this a little bit further. I would go to SCBC board and say, why not have a Friday afternoon where Francophone analysts and activists come on SCBC and talk to Francophone population. Let's get them to install SCBC in their houses and watch you educate them along with other Francophones, along with other Ambazonians, the need for no elections in Cameroon, because we already understand that this election already has a winner. This election already has been counted. It already has voters who have not registered. We understand all that, and no country deserves to go through that because it only validates the mandate of a devil, which Paul Biya is. So it's an important conversation that I think both sides needs to have. You know, Ambazonians and Francophones, goodwill Francophones, need to have this conversation so that they understand that it's a waste of time to go to the polls even. You know, because when you go to the polls, it would be manipulated. At the end of the day, Paul Biya or whoever France chooses becomes king again, and then you go through another 7 years of frustration. It's rather that you frustrate the elections for the whole country, and then because as of the 1st of October, the presidential mandate of Paul Biya also expires. And this is, you try to say it's a miraculous thing happening. You know, this month, October, is a very special month because the parliamentary mandate expires. So we no longer have parliamentarians. We will no longer have Paul Biya as a president in both territories in October. If that election successfully don't happen in both sides, then now the tyrant has done away. All Paul Biya would be able to do and his friends is enter a charter jet and run away and leave French Cameroon free and leave Amazonia free. And these two countries would decide their future. And you have cited a very special example. Gambia and Senegal used to be Senegambia, and when they realized that their colonial past hasn't enabled the two countries to live together, they went apart, but they kept their relationship. So I really want to thank you so much, Prof, for bringing that, putting out the analysis very clear, and I think that it helps our people see clearly, you know, with that kind of a perspective.
No, thank you. I think, you know, for me, what is happening is, and that is the beauty of having a conflict. It is that propaganda disappears at a certain point, and people start understanding that what one was phrasing through very complex sentences are very easy, relations of forces. And those forces that were difficult to explain during the time of peace become tangible because people have to live, people have to survive, they have to pay for the education of their children, they have to have them go to school, etc., etc. Just take the example of, let us even take a number of that's living in Yaoundé. So the consequence of this conflict is that everybody who was in Bamenda, in Boya, etc., has left and now is living with those people in Yaoundé. So they're having a toll on them. Let us now take their neighbors who are Francophone, etc. They think that they are not paying for those costs. We just had a BIA asking for everybody to pay. We just had schools where even the teachers are asking the students, etc., to pay. So it means everybody is called upon to give money. So it is a toll. The war is not a game anymore. You have a toll on the Francophones, and now they don't have any input. They don't have any money coming in because the cause of conflict being that it destroys everything. Those villages that are being burned are villages where people were, first of all, living off their own work, meaning they didn't depend on anybody else to live. And secondly, they were producing things for other people to live off that. So it means they are brought not only to zero because they cannot help themselves anymore. They cannot help anybody, meaning they are -5 or -10. That is a sinking of an economy. So such an economy has no future. The question now is even the country itself. Do you want to have a country that now is only burning, killing children, killing everybody, etc., have a future? But no. The clarity of it is, the soccer game that is supposed to be in 2019. Right? Do you even imagine that a country like Cameroon can organize a soccer competition when soldiers are calling themselves Cobra and killing children? That is impossible. I'm not seeing anybody coming there. Do you imagine that a country like Cameroon can organize a football competition when in the northwest and the southwest people are killing each other? Remember that some stadiums were built in Boya, etc. Remember, stadiums were built there. Do you think anybody can go there now? Right? These are things that you can forget. Now, do you think the competition is only going to happen in Yaoundé and Douala? That is a catastrophe. It is unbelievable. That is a catastrophe. And all that is loss of money because a competition brings money. That is a total loss, a collapse of the economy we are talking about. So having that on the table, the question is now, do you want to keep BIA, who is now running on empty, running on minus, killing everybody, and who is 85 years old? At a certain point, anybody will understand that it is necessary to have a coalition of forces. On the one hand, of Ambazonians, on the other hand, of good-willing Francophones, and certainly of the international community to be able to have the understanding that it has to negotiate. When one has that, one has a path. And I'm totally willing at any time, if you tell me on, to have a show, I'm going to come and do that because I think it is important for people to have the clarity of their situation, to understand it, step by step, to educate the population. It's important for people to actually see through complex things in an easy way and easy fashion. And I'll do it handily. No problem, I'll do it.
No, thank you, Prof. I think that it's something that we should take up. So, Prof, we want to thank you so much for joining us this evening in such a short notice. Indeed, you have touched on the subjects that we think you should. So, if you have a message for our viewers.
Just wait, before Prof goes, I just want Prof to kind of enlighten Ambazonians on how they can use the video of the shooting of the mother and children to expose the the devil that BIA is to the world, so that it's going to impact on how the world looks at BIA and how they start placing sanctions on Cameroon and in extension, giving us an opportunity to sell our case to the world. So how do we educate our people to use that video? Because a lot of people see it as happening in the north, but they do not understand the impact of how it's also actually impacting on our struggle. Because I would say that the same kind of treatment is going on in Ambazonia. It's just that we're not seeing all the videos. If we dig properly, we'll see videos of children and mothers being killed like that in cold blood. So can you try and educate our people on how they can use that video to show BIA for who he is?
And just before you go, Prof, let me interject there. BBC Africa Pidgin picked up that video and they interviewed Bajek, the spokesperson for La République military, and as you expect, he said no, it's a staged video. So just before your answer, I wanted to put that in.
No, I also had an exchange with some journalists yesterday who contacted him, and I understand that he thinks everything is fake. I understand that Atanganji also said that Ambazonians were when it was wrong, when it was simply filmed. I understand also that, Atanganji had said that there's no Anglophone problem at all when there's a civil war in front of all of us. I actually understand that, Atanganji and even Bajek had said that it is simply an issue that will be solved in 2 or 5 days since 2 years when it's having a conflict. The best thing one can do with such a video is to tweet it, to send it everywhere, to send it around, to send it to one senator, representative, to any single person, to simply keep it as in the store, and anytime you send it. You don't have to send it only today. You don't have to send more. You simply systematically know that at a certain point, you have to send it as much as possible. Of course, for Ambazonians, I can only say that, a video like that is the best recruiting tool, because who else can accept that in one's country one has soldiers killing babies? Nobody can accept that. So a soldier like that, an army like that, has no more standing. An army like that deserves to be vanquished and has to be defeated. I always say that that army will be defeated, has to be defeated, and will be defeated, and they will be defeated. So a video like that works on all those fronts, on the front of making sure that people know what's happening in Cameroon, but at the same time making sure that the forces of good, that the ADF, that they are actually having more people joining them to be able to defeat Bulu soldiers.
Thank you so much once more, Prof, for joining us. We definitely would have a talk again behind and see how we can continue with the mobilization on your side, on the side of the Francophones. I think that the momentum is ripe on that side, and we must continue mobilizing. Thank you once more for joining us.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was a small marathon there, Ray, and I think that it was very enlightening. I have learned quite a few things, and I got clarity on the Francophones Ambazonia thing for the first time as well.
Yeah.
So it was very important.
If I say when we'll get this kind of discussion, we'll try to talk a little bit. We'll open the lines just now so that we'll get a conversation. If we still continue this conversation on our lines, on our call, telling on our view of what way Professor Patrice don't talk about, and also for tell we what you think we do for October as our first independence and restoration anniversary, and La Republic organize the election where they want impact on our side of the country. But then what way Professor Patrice don't talk be very important. We need to really cause chaos on the other side of the Mongo, so that if we help them to send away their president, reorganize themselves, we live like good neighbors as Gambia and Senegal. Now, basic thing that we Professor Patrice talk about. So we will look at that one very critically, and then we'll support it to see how, if it's mobilize people, they get their own block by block for French Cameroon, so that they fit destabilize that part of the country, and then they go take more soldiers into go that side, so that they go reduce the number of soldiers on our side. We don't talk between plenty time, Derrick, so that it go reduce the number of soldiers, because if they reduce by half the number of soldiers they get on our side, we don't finish La Republic completely. So it'd be very important with the way Professor Patrice talk. We need to really make sure, say, we support an initiative for the other side, they get their own block by block, destabilize the whole of French Cameroon, so that they go reduce the army for this side, they can go the other side, and it will remain now on our boys for take off the small way, remember, for they clear them out of our territory. And once we don't send them out, they send out Bia, Ego, they organize themselves. If we discuss now, say, okay, maybe we don't need passport for each country, we just put border posts, use ID, because already we already get the history together, we get intermarriages, we get in the way it will hardly change. So yes, maybe we'll try for when we get our course now, we will talk about all these things, and then we will see how we will forge a way ahead.
Yes, so we are getting our first caller now. I think it's a very interesting conversation to have further. And our people are always complaining that the Francophone shows that they watch, they talk badly about us.
Hello?
Hello? the Francophones shows that they watch, they talk badly about us. Now, how about we finding Francophones like Professor Patrice Nganang to also come and talk to Francophones badly about their government and really get the people and the population, their minds cleared so that they can all rise against their government. I think that is an important thing that Ambazonians need to look at.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Well, I think our technical director should try to look into this because we're not getting the voice of the callers. Our technical director will look into that. We'll be very sorry. We get the calls, but we need to get the voice from the callers. Maybe try for southern one out.
Yeah. So while they fix that, I just want to celebrate my friend Ray. I don't know if he sleeps at night or he doesn't sleep. Yes. So Ray produced this information pack. You can see that this is an A4 paper. Ray has taken all of our history and churned it down to a small flyer like this small flyer that you see in my hand. I think that this is a very important piece that you can use to introduce the struggle to anybody who doesn't know about the struggle, and without overwhelming them with all the numerous information out there. And I really want to thank Ray for this wonderful work that he has done the last 3 months. I looked at it today when we picked it up from the printers, and I was just, wow, it's beautiful. It is well written. What has happened over the years, what we want now as a people, the abuses that we have gotten, why the solution is independence. It's all here in a very small A4 piece of paper. And I just want to say, Raymond, thank you, man. Thank you so much for doing this wonderful work
for our nation. And if any person needs to get this on hard copy, for print them out, begin distribute them for people who don't know about our story. For help, we get a soft copy. We send them, email them to you wherever in the world you are. Just send you an email, an inbox, or an email to info@acbctv.com, and we will email you a copy.
Yeah, so I think that this is the simplest, the easiest way to put together information for a stranger. If you stand by the corner of a road and you give this to anybody, they go home like a tract, like a religious tract, with very little reading, they will get to understand exactly what is going on in Ambazonia. They'll get to understand exactly how they can help us. And I think that this is really a recruitment tool for us. And I just want to thank Raymond for taking the time and sitting down and doing this kind of work. So he has said he would share the folder to people who want to print it out where they are. Put your own contact details. Here is the contact details of the interim government, and the people who want to contact to help in any way, they will definitely contact the interim government with that contact information. But this is a good way. This is a good way of taking your case out there and selling. I remember when we visited the Palestinians in their office, and they had a lot of information tracks, small information tracks. And I was like, will we ever get to a place where we produce this kind of information? And Ray has just done that. So thank you, Ray. It's a good. Hello.
Well, the technical director keeps telling us that the calls are good, but we can't hear people on the other side. We only hear the sound of the phone ringing, but we cannot hear the voice of the person on the other side. So they should try to sort that out so that we get these calls. I mean, people want to talk.
Yeah, the calls are coming in fast. Hello?
Yeah, this one is good.
Hello?
Yes, Ray and Derrick, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, brother.
Welcome to the program.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the good work that you guys are doing with Patrice. One of the things which I would like to suggest to Patrice and the other activists on the other side to consider is for them to consider looking at the videos of September 22nd and October 1st. If you look at the videos, you would see the tremendous and the excellent job that our Takumbens did, and if they can watch those videos and see how they can mobilize women on the other side to spearhead their own solution, it will be a good thing. Especially all the mothers of the Francophone or the La République soldiers who have been, that would be a good place for them to start. If they can find out who these mothers and sisters are and try to get them to put pressure for them to put pressure on La République, tell them where their sons are, that would be a way to start, because I doubt it if La République, gendarmes, and their bees, if they see the hundreds of women whose children have been killed in this war, if they are with placards, I doubt it's going to. Patrice and the other activists on the rallying all the mothers whose children have been killed to spearhead this. That would be an easy way.
Thank you. I think that we are beginning to go already for the Francophone side with those strategies. Thank you so much for sharing that, comrade. And I think that Patrice and the other Francophone activists listening to us have definitely taken that down. So thank you so much for putting in, and thank you for sharing.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. Yeah, with the way the calls, I mean, very happy to say more people they call and for share their opinion. And yes, we need for really make sure say La République start their own block by block, so that we'll get a coalition. The gateway to the one will happen for Central African, West African country.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello, Mr. Derrick and Mr. Remo. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, brother.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, make me just talk for normal language where all man go understand me.
Correct.
No problem.
Yeah, I just listened to which Mr. Patrice talk, but something the way I going to need for make people they understand.
Okay.
The first thing I say, as we fight for our independence, I go also talk to La République to make them also fight for their own independence from France, because La République will be an independent country.
True. That's right.
So as we fight for more for La République, make La République to the Komoto for make them fight for more for France the hand, because no matter which way La République can build themselves in the future, if they no release themselves from the French people,
That's right.
will always be like that.
That's right.
So, as we fight for our independence, make they fight to leave the French people, because they are not independent, my brother. Everything is coming out from France. You come. So when they fight, as we fight for our own independence, make them to the fight for their own independence from France.
Yeah.
So that all those accords with the American with France, you know, will see the work. Because so far as the fight go up, come down, France will still get control for them, and will still be determined where the France will still be determined way they want to get for La République.
True.
So the system will always be the same. So now two countries they now they fight for get their own independence. We already get attacked, we own nanas who will can't get up. So for them too, make them begin try to see how they release themselves from the French people.
Very, very true.
So
Yeah, I think.
their own house.
Yeah, I think today, especially as I listened to Professor Patrice, that was exactly what he was telling us, that Francophone Cameroon, as it is not an independent country, and they also need to fight. And they need to borrow from Ambazonia, which is far advanced in strategies right now. And that is why he was saying, imagine having block by block in Yaoundé, in Douala, and in all the other regions of Cameroon. So thank you so much for that perspective, sir. Welcome to Amba Perspective. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Thank you very much, Raymond. I can hear you, and I want to appreciate you all in the studio there. You and Ray and Derrick, and very much welcome with the programs.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. We can hear you.
You feel reduce the volume for your TV.
Yeah, I'm calling from Ground Zero, Bingo and Bero County, to be very precise. I want to say that it is out of place for us to begin to think about the independence of other people who have not yet grasped our own. It is in place for us to begin to think about our own independence and see how we can be able to do that and do that successfully, so that any other person can be able to emulate it, because it has been successful. It's not our place to give room for people to begin to take back and tell us what to do, because at the end of the day, it will look like we are getting or trying to do what they want us to do. In fact, for 57 years, no Ambazonian who want to learn anything from anybody, because for 57 years is too much for us to have mastered what we should be able to do for ourselves. Over. Derrick, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That is such an Ambazonian contribution, you know, coming from my county there. And I understand that. Right now, I want to say that we are like in a soccer game. World Cup, for instance, and you are playing and you have 4 points, and you are hoping that the other team, if the other team can beat the other team, even if they will not get 4 points to qualify and go to the next round, it will help you to qualify. But if the other team loses, then your chances of qualifying with that 4 points, the other guy can win on the other side and have more goals. So that is the calculation here. It's high-level strategy, and I think that, you know, you can relate it well with soccer, and you see that at times you need your opponent to be defeated in another battle for them to be weaker for you to defeat them. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, it'd be very true. You see, our strategy, in as much as we fight for liberate ourselves, we will apply strategy. Sometimes for win your opponent, give a weakening. And how if we weaken our opponent and say, make me fight today for your own camp. Yeah. Once fight day for your own camp, weakening, it go easy for you to come up for your hand. So now the thing that we would basically talk, no be say we know the one to liberate ourselves. For liberate ourselves, we need to be strategic.
It's a given, yeah.
You know, we need to be strategic. We don't just say, we continue for the do and isolate, just isolate ourselves, the do, and then they hope say, if we just beat the Republic hands down. No, make we cause confusion for our own side, so that it's easy for our side.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Yeah, hello, good evening, my brother.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yes, I call from Ground Zero from Bafut country.
Welcome to the program. Go ahead and share your perspective.
Yes.
Switch off the radio, TV, I beg, so that you will fit up for you.
Yes, yeah. I want to talk here.
Yeah.
The thing where the people for Bello don't do them traditionally. They show the people who already see them. So one talk say any country the way they use their own black magic. We they use them so for that will feel at least defeat the people as fast as any other thing.
That's true.
Yeah, indeed.
We don't talk about this show say if that thing they use them.
If some man, if he move thunder, he don't move the thunder now. That thunder na fake thunder now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we suffer for all levels. So we really think say now at the time we move our last belly for all two of you move them. Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, welcome to Amba Perspective.
Yeah, this is Fombat.
Welcome, Comrade Fombat.
Hello, it's Fombat.
Yeah, welcome to the program. You have the mic.
Yeah, what I just want to propose is that I listen to what Patrice is saying, and the ideas are good, but one thing we need to do at this point is make sure that our boys, they do their activities simultaneously in all the counties. Because extending to La Republique now, it will mean that we are unable to do it. That is the reality. So if our boys can defend their counties simultaneously, La Republique hasn't got any forces to do all these counties at the same time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that is a very good one. If all our counties were to wake up at the same time, it will spread La Republique out. But over and above all, what Professor Patrice is saying is that if we encourage Francophones enough, they will have their own block by blocks in their county to liberate their own country. Which means instead of the 5 trucks or armored trucks that are sent to Boya today, if they were sending them to Boya and somewhere in Douala there was young people who were agitating, Douala young people who were agitating, they will not send 5 trucks to Boya. They will send 3 or 4 and keep 1 in Douala. So it will weaken them already in their own camp before even coming into our own camp. That is he's not saying that Ambazonians should go and block by block in La Republique. Remember, there's national integrity and sovereignty here. The moment we go and fight across the Mongo, we are doing the same thing that La Republique is doing to us, which they are fighting across their international boundaries. We cannot fight across our international boundaries. However, there is a lot that we can cause agitations within Francophone Cameroon. When you listen to French Cameroon media, they are trying to cause agitations within Ambazonia, so that some of our people should hate the movement of our liberation. That is what we can equally cause in their own area. And young people who are frustrated, who are out of jobs, who have literally, their future have been sold by people like Paul Biya, they will agitate, they will create their own block. But we will not go and create block by block for them. We will not fund it for them. We will not do anything for them. We just need to give them information that would enable them to agitate. So it's not us going to fight for their freedom. No, we continue fighting for our freedom. That is all we are supposed to do. But we encourage them to fight for their freedom. We encourage them to tell them that they are not free, so they have to fight for it.
Yeah. So tell me information. This is not be all man. They understand information properly. Sometimes a person there is a bondage, inside prison, but you don't know say there is a prison. The moment we educate French Cameroon people say they live for prison with Paul Biya, it go start to make them for rise. Because now some person they start on for make me start to resonate with their mentality and for make more people they rise. And if they rise on the side of their own country, it go better for we. So we don't mean that say we even take our resources go on their side. No, we just need to share information, teach them how to do our own, and then they too go try to do their own and liberate themselves. And in the course of them liberating themselves, it go ease our path to liberation. Not be say we don't go liberate ourselves by ourselves if they don't even woke up safe. Irrespective of whether they come on board or not, we go see liberate Ambazonia. But the truth is say if La Republique rise now on themselves, they fight among themselves, the path of our restoration will be more easier. Now all in that way, Patrice be try for talk and I would think say it be very true. And you go find someone who give them that information.
Thank you so much for that intervention there, Comrade Fombert.
Okay, thank you. So one thing I just want to encourage is that we self-defense should be simultaneous.
It is.
This issue of today is Boya, tomorrow is Moyoka, the other day is Kumba. You know, it is not helping us. If we are to do it, let us organize, re-strategize, and do it in all the counties on the same day, at the same time. That would weaken La Republique tremendously.
No,
seriously.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you completely on that one. And I think that Raymond said at the beginning of the show that this is the time for us to start planning for the 1st of October. We just have a whole new cabinet coming, and we think that all the cabinet members, their work is cut out for them. All their departments should have a specific department that is working towards mobilizing for the 1st of October, for the month of October. Why? We need to stop elections from happening, La Republique elections from happening in southern Cameroon. We need to commemorate, you know, the lives that we lost on the 22nd of September last year and the 1st of October. It is a big it's a big moment for us, and I think that we need to put the same attention to it like we did last year, and that starts now. That mobilization starts now. That calling back home, call your family, call your county, it starts now again, and we need to mobilize all afresh towards that 1st of October, so that La Republic will not stand a chance.
Yeah. So thank you very much, my brother, for that one. We'll continue to educate ourselves for make sure say our restoration forces they attack all over, so that we will thin down the forces of La Republic, and it will make our path more easier. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, so information coming in. There's some mobilization on La Republique's path. We hear that about 5 trucks are leaving Douala for the southern zones. So we just want to shout out there that if our boys are watching, they should start looking at ambushing. Hello, welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello.
I beg you, put up your volume, put down your volume, or switch off your TV.
The contribute for this, I don't really go.
Welcome. You need to leave your TV set and go a bit outside, please.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
Yeah, the one who contribute for this our Amba boys already for defend with. So this goes on with the put on for Monday. If you find say me they block this road from Mungo, when a day we were resources come when that petrol.
Okay.
So that me like to please a year the pain. My name is myself from I call from the Douala.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother.
Yes, so the way that petrol the pass to it make it add again more way because now way that La Republic and the use them so we can go my TV. So the one who make that other go around from Monday from that boy side, the Amba boys then they attack immediately Pico Moteng and so that the block that road made that tanker they not became pass even if in 1 week as we give this program.
No, you'll be right. I should say our restoration forces the year and they go strategize to see how they fit do that one. I should say small we'll go gain grounds and we'll one day even put down that Mungo bridge so that no truck no go fit leave both sides of each country for go for the other one. So gradually with the gain grounds and we'll go reach there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, sir.
Yeah, we see one for year when I calls when I give a share on a perspective on the discussions of today. Hello, welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello.
Now, the year you go ahead.
Yes. Hello.
Welcome to the program. You can go ahead.
Yes. I think I want to contribute my own.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, would he get you? Oh, sorry, we lost that one. So I like the conversation. I like the back and forth we had with our viewers, the interactive nature of the program. I really like it. And I like this testing ideas. I like this debating things. Don't just accept something because somebody said it. You know, think about it. Use your own words to phrase it and see if it fits, you know, and when it don't fit, you don't have to wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Amba Perspective. Hello. One of the highest things that we have gained, you know, over the last 2 years, Raymond, is our right to debate the things which has literally been killed under La Republique. Yeah. So we are no longer in a state of cook and eat where government says jump and you say how high. You know, nobody is supposed to tell you jump. You are supposed to question people. You're supposed to question everything until you are satisfied as a person.
Hello, welcome.
You are supposed to question things. You know, nothing is a given anymore. You know, that is what we have already gained right now. We are able to analyze things. We are able to look at things, what they are, how they benefit us, how long-term, short-term, and then we make a decision, you know. So that's where we are right now as a people, which is a great place to be.
Yeah. So yeah, when we get discussions on shows like this, be carved on stone.
And it's not policy.
Yeah, it not be policy. So that's in the way we look at where the council will ponder on and see how we use them for better our own struggle. Hello, welcome to Amba Perspective.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
You're supposed to question,
Hello.
That is what we have.
Hello.
Welcome to Amba Perspective.
Hello.
Welcome to Amba Perspective. We can hear you. Hello.
Hello, welcome, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome to the program.
Hello?
Welcome to the program.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, ahead.
Hello, sorry, for you.
Okay.
The good say if I to go study from La Republica also too. What's the other guy talking? The other guy saying Patrice, whatever. Hello?
Yeah, we'll get you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. If I will start with La Republique, so me to understand say this so the situation is not easy situation. Because what will happen I say see where it go on for Southern Cameroon or for side. As you need it hot, I just can't touch with our side there. We don't understand because people don't understand because they not go touch them too. So if I me to touch one place inside La Republique, either Douala or one of the La Republique zone.
No, thank you so much for that perspective, my brother. Indeed, but it can even go one better if La Republique citizens then wake up, say, Pobia government has been a bad government, and they are the ones who start making their own country ungovernable. So it just reduces the work for us because us going to do it is them themselves doing it.
Yeah.
And all they need is just information. You understand how media in La Republique is controlled, where the people who are panelists, they are selected, they are handpicked. There are people who support the regime. There are people who would fight and die for the regime. There are Republicans or whatever you call them. So it is what we can do for them is to get them to start talking, to open media space for them, to talk to their people so their people can rise up and also make their country ungovernable, because it is not governable right now as it is, because it's just a group of people who are robbing them and robbing Ambazonians at the same time. So thank you so much for that perspective, and I think you are right.
Yeah, and the best way that we need to do because you don't too much. I see Pekin, La Republic Army, they shoot Pekin for two years old for back with woman.
Yeah.
Right for the it's our zone.
No, Masa, it terrible.
2 years old Pekin with 6 years old Pekin.
It terrible, Masa. It really terrible, bro. Yeah.
That man, that man in the person, that man a statue.
No, that's a terrible thing, my brother. That image that is still passing from my head right now.
This guy is just like a statue because I don't understand what type of president is that. Anyway, thank you so much, man.
No, thank you so much for the call. We really appreciate it.
Take care. Yeah.
All right. One thank all my we don't participate for this show today. It don't be an interesting show, interesting conversation. Another perspective of how we need to approach this whole struggle, and it be a very interesting one because right now people get their own ideas about how to go about them. But one thing we don't carry them out for this show and say, if we ruffle the feathers on the other side of the territory, of the other side of the Mongo, it go easy for gain our restoration and for chase away La Republique. If things are fine for La Republique, if they fit chase away that their president organize themselves, we and them fish it over the table, discuss and see how we live like good neighbors. So if you get any information, if you give them how they start their own block by block, share them with them. You don't need for go do them by yourself because I'm going to return a resource on our side. But if we do them well and good, let's do it. May they start their own for their own side. Make we do for our own side, see how we battle them out together, and then at the end of the day, we'll get a win-win situation and we'll live happily ever after.
We must continuously praise our self-defense boys. The information that got in this evening as we were on show is that La Republique is mobilizing and sending in military towards Boya. Already, Boya has been reinforced. There's already some special forces in town, and we just want to tell our self-defense boys that they should be careful out there. They should use ambush. Their strategy is it's guerrilla. They should use ambush. They should be strategic how they attack the enemy, and they should be careful because of all all the reinforcements that they have brought. And also what the last caller said, it is important to spread out, to spread out our self-defense in all counties. Right now, with La Republique mobilizing in Boya, if things were supposed to be happening a lot in the northern zones, now they will have to, start sharing their forces and sending some to the northern zones and all that, and it will reduce the concentration in Boya, because what they want to do right now in Boya is they want to go out there and carry out massacre in numbers and frighten our people. So it's also important that all the other zones should activate and make sure that it spreads, the tension, the pressure spreads across the entire Ambazonia. So we want to thank our boys for the wonderful work that they're doing. We get your calls, we hear the news, and it's really news that is very heartening. We are very happy, but we pray and continuously beg you that discipline should be the motto. We are fighting for the good of all Ambazonians. That is what we are fighting for, a common good. So we should never forget that. We thank you so much for joining us in this program, and we are looking forward to another edition on Saturday.
See you on Saturday, and God bless you.
The year 2047 marked 30 years since the founding of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. This second republic of the British Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroons had found its economic footing and secured its place as an economic superstar on the African continent. The new nation celebrated its independence 3 decades ago, on October the 1st, 2017, and emerged after a tumultuous separation from its eastern neighbor, the Cameroon Republic. Hailed as a visionary and charismatic young leader, President Sisiku Ayoktabi not only brought an end to the 60-year illegal annexation of the British Southern Cameroons, but during his 2 terms in office, he was credited for transforming Ambazonia into one of the most prosperous economies in Africa. Africa's 56th state had relocated the nation's capital city 90 miles inland to a teeming modern metropolis at the center of the country, and Ambazonia's economy was on track to rival even Singapore. This African country's future couldn't be brighter, and its transformation no less spectacular.
Today on Straight Talk Africa, the 31st African Union Summit ended Monday in Mauritania. Some of the most important issues that affected the lives of millions of people on the continent were discussed during the heads of government meeting. Among them included combating corruption, a sustainable path to Africa's transformation. Now that the African leaders have talked the talk, can they in fact walk the talk? That's coming up next right here on Straight Talk Africa. Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America studio headquarters here in Washington.